Hey, welcome. MarshaunO here, your favorite relationship strategist. Come on in, share this video with those that you know who need to hear it. Let me go ahead and tag a few people before we get started because this one is important. Today, we will be discussing emotional neglect. Again, that's emotional neglect and what that actually looks like, why it's important to know what's actually happening, and why you should not, what's actually going on with emotional neglect, why it's important. And neglect of any form can be bad for any relationship, for sure. It can be bad for any relationship. You don't want it, you don't need it, and you really want to be careful with how you are even giving your partner grace in this area, because nobody wants to feel neglected. We all need to feel like we are loved and within the relationship altogether, for sure. What's actually happening here. So emotional neglect, what does it look like in your relationship? Again, none of us want to feel neglected. So emotional neglect involves neglectful omissions, like omitting to do things that tend to promote emotional well-being. Or another definition could be not providing emotional support that he or she should. So you say that you're in this relationship, you say that you're in this marriage, you're committed, or you're supposed to be committed, but the things that you're actually doing, right? Your actions are not saying that you are committed to the relationship, that you are committed to your partner or spouse. You are doing something completely different, which is where the neglect actually comes into play. And so what does emotional neglect look like in a relationship? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna give you a few things to think about. If this is something that you are doing yourself, then you definitely want to tighten up on that for sure. So you're not doing this because if you want to keep this person around, if you want to keep this relationship, then you definitely need to stop neglecting the person, right? So one of the first things that emotional neglect involves is a persistent habit or disposition of complete or almost complete lack of physical contact. Again, so your partner is saying that they want to be in this relationship, right? But when it comes to physical contact, there is something that is holding him or her back from doing or participating in, initiating at some point, right? They are just being there, right? They're just there going through the motions. There is, again, little to no physical contact from you as the person who is neglecting the relationship, right? And if you're on the receiving end or the lack of the receiving end, then you know all too familiar what this feels like. You feel like maybe even something may be wrong with you, when in fact there's nothing wrong with you. It has everything to do with your spouse, has everything to do with something that's going on up here. And they're pretty much taking it out on you, taking it out on the relationship. So there is a persistent habit or disposition where they have complete or an almost complete lack of physical contact with you as their partner or spouse. Another thing to look at and think about is they have a persistent pattern of refusing to spend time with their partner. Right? They're preferring outsiders to their partner. And this could be their friends. It could be their family members. It can even be their coworkers that they are preferring to spend time with other than yourself. Now, as a disclaimer, I will say that some of these topics that I'm speaking about could also come into play as another reason, connected to something completely different than emotional neglect. However, the signs that I'm bringing up today all point to emotional neglect, right? So again, they are preferring to spend time with an outsider, someone that is not you as their partner, as their support system. It should be their support system, right? It should be reciprocated, where you're supporting as well as he or she is supporting you as well. And most of the time you feel like you are the one who's only giving the support. It's never any support for yourself, which again is emotional neglect, right? The next thing to think about is fights. how often are you fighting, right? And so when there's emotional neglect, there is seldom fights. And I know that some of you are probably like, you know what? That's actually good, because we shouldn't be fighting. But what fighting does show is that the partner or spouse still cares about the relationship, right? So when they are fighting with you, when they are arguing with you, it still shows that they care about you, as well as your feelings, as well as how the relationship is going to turn out, right? So it's actually a positive more than we believe. See, some people believe that you should never fight, right? Or fighting is a sign that something is wrong in the relationship. Well, you're arguing about something. So yes, to a certain degree, something is wrong in the relationship, but it doesn't mean that something core, right? That there's a core problem in the relationship, right? It could just be something very simple that you two just need to handle, take care of, get rid of, etc. I'm sorry about all the noise. I think they're actually chasing somebody. It's a helicopter, it's a firefighters going on. It's a lot of stuff going on right now. So sorry about all the noise. There's really nothing I can do about that. So yes, the seldom fights, right? They are just pretty much non-existent. He or she has definitely checked out when there are seldom fights. Unless you guys are on smooth sailing. But in this case, if you get having emotional neglect, then there isn't any smooth sailing at this point, right? Another thing to think about is how often you two are having meaningful conversations. And I'm not just talking about the check-ins, like how was your day? What did you end up doing? What did the kids do? What do you need me to do? Is a doctor's appointment? Like none of the check-in stuff. I'm talking about where they are meaningful conversations, where you guys are talking about maybe there is something that is frustrating you, annoying you. It could be with your spouse, but it also could be with an outsider, right? It could be your boss. It could be a friend, right? So you're just running things by each other. Or you could be talking about something that you're really passionate about. So maybe you like to read books, right? So maybe you're discussing something that you read in a book, or some goal or hobby that you want to start picking up, right? And start working toward, right? So things that matter to you are where the meaningful conversations come into play, as well as things that matter to your spouse. So if you're no longer or very rarely having these conversations, you're definitely experience some emotional neglect within your relationship, because relationships are totally all about the support, right? It's really about the support. And so you need that emotional connection in order to feel like you are a part of the team, in order to feel connected, in order to feel like you have this emotional support as well as emotional connection with your spouse and self. So if there are no meaningful conversations, then I'm sure you are feeling as if you are neglected, and this is emotional neglect. The last thing that I'm going to mention is that you feel lonely or feel alone all the time, even though you two may be in the same house all the time. You might even sleep in the same room, same bed, but you still feel lonely because, again, that connection has been broken down, and or there's just a lack of it. Somebody has now become disinterested in the relationship, which is why you are feeling lonely and or alone all the time, even though you're surrounded by maybe even your family, meaning your children, right? Or extended family members that stay with you, but really you're looking for the deep emotional connection with your spouse, and you're not feeling like you are attaining this, right? And so one of the things that you just have to see your relationship for what it is, and not want it to be something. And so now you're looking at it as something that it is not, because the only thing you're going to do is literally continue to live in fantasy land instead of living in the land of where it actually is. And if you continue to live in fantasy land, then you will never be able to address and or correct said situation, in this case the emotional neglect. So we really have to show up and be in the moment of where our relationships actually are, instead of thinking or wanting them to be something else, but never taking the actions to do anything different, right? So we have to show up and do things different if we want different results. And so if you are the person that is emotionally neglecting your partner, then you need to figure out how to either connect with your partner, or literally, as much as I would hate for this to happen, but if you feel like this is not where you want to be, because your actions are actually showing that, then maybe it's just a good thing for you to just cut the ties and move on with your life, so both of you can get back to being happy instead of feeling miserable with this person who said that they were going to be there for you. And if you guys are married, right, This is the support that you need. And again, the physical touch, the sex and all that stuff, especially if all of that stuff has been cut off, then there is absolutely something that is going on. But that does not mean that it's absolutely you. The person that is shutting down, that is neglecting you as the spouse as well as the relationship, needs to figure out how to get from point A to point B. So from where they're at today to where they really want to be, which is on the side of happiness. And whether it's with you, right, or not, they need to figure this out so they can move forward. So again, so both of you can get back to being happy. So now I have a bonus tip for you, which is you can figure out if you are in an emotionally neglectful relationship, if he constantly gives you the silent treatment. I'm saying he, but this also going to be a she. So if your partner is constantly giving you the silent treatment for long periods of time, or just this is their way of controlling themselves as well as the situation, and they're doing it for long periods of time. Now, how long do you think that the relationship will last if you two are not talking? Because we all need to feel connected. So even if the partner is strong, right, at some point they will break their strength, because we need to feel wanted, we need to feel needed. And especially if there's somebody that starts to show her attention in the way that he or she needs it, then trust me, you're about to lose everything. And especially if you're doing it to prove a point. But if you really truly just do not want to be there, and do not make finances an excuse for you to stay making your life miserable as well as your partner's life miserable, just go ahead, cut ties. Because one thing's for certain, you both will be able to figure it out. Yes, it'll be tough in the beginning, but you will be able to figure out your life, your finances, be able to pay your bills once again by yourself, or get a roommate, something. But get back to being happy, get back to getting and establishing your happiness, instead of being miserable day in and day out and making somebody else's relationship, their relationship, but I really meant their life, miserable as well. The final bonus tip that I have for you is he or she hardly takes care of himself, right? So whatever's happening up here as to why they checked out, why they're allowing this thing to linger, to fester in your relationship, they have now decided to take it a step further, which is they are very rarely taking care of their self. Maybe that means not taking showers, right? Maybe that means keeping on the same clothes all day. And maybe that even means not going to work, right? Only staying on the couch. Now, this also can be a sign of depression as well, right? But there's something that's deep-seated and deep-rooted that's actually going on with him or her. So I love you guys. There's nothing that you can do about it. Now, if you need some help getting through these difficult times, then definitely sign up for your free 30-minute coaching conversation. The link is up above, as well as in the description, as well as in the comment section below, and the description box as well. So I will talk to you guys next week. Again, share this video content with someone who you know who needs to hear this message, because I'm totally all about you getting back to your happy if that's not where you're currently at. I'll see you guys later. Bye now.